Now we are seeing some of the previous gate questions from the subject strength of materials. A 200 by 100 by 50 steel block is subjected to a hydrostatic pressure of 15 megapascal. The Young's modulus and Poisson's ratio of the material are 200 gigapascal and zero point 0.3 respectively. The change in volume of the block in cube is A 85, B 90, C 100, D 110. And here the answer is 90 cube. That is option B is the right option. And see here, hydrostatic pressure means pressure applied by a fluid on a element or body. So here given the given body is steel block, so the hydrostatic pressure will be same on all faces of the body. So if you take x, y and z direction stresses, so because hydrostatic pressure will be the same on all faces, so we'll take it as sigma x is equals to sigma y is equals to sigma z is equals to simply as sigma. And if you just write the expression for strain in x direction, let's sigma x by a minus mu into sigma y by a minus mu into sigma z by a in general cases of a body subjected to volumetric stress in all directions. And here because this sigma x, sigma y, sigma z is same, so we are writing only sigma. And here if you see, you may get doubt and how you write this. So see, sigma means strain in x direction. Suppose you will write stress in x direction by E. This is once again you know from the simple formula of Young's modulus. E is equals to stress by strain. From that, strain is equals to stress by Young's modulus, and strain in x direction is stress in x direction by Young's modulus. And here at the same time there are stresses acting at the y and z directions also. So these stresses acting in the y and z directions cause an effect of strain in x direction, or this so that will be the Poisson's ratio times of the strain in the direction. Suppose we are calculating strain in x direction, and but the stress or the load in the y direction and also the load or stress in z direction will cause negative strain in the x direction. So that amount of negative strain will be the Poisson's ratio of Poisson's ratio times of the strain in that particular direction. So that's why we have written here. If you take here, anyway this is the compressive, but we are taking positive. Finally we will express or we will told it as a compressive. So by taking the positive sign, or here positive for compressive, or anyway any sign if you take, the final will express that as a compressive or reduction in the volume. So here just for concept purpose we are taking here sigma by E, and I told the strain in the x direction because of the stress in y and z direction is Poisson's ratio time of strain in those particular directions. So suppose if you are taking this a positive in the first next direction, so this is minus of mu into sigma by E and minus of mu into sigma by E. So friends, once again I'm telling, you may get doubt, here it is a compressive, you have to take minus, but finally we will express the answer as a compressive. So such that I am taking here a positive for the first this, and the negative effect means we are taking minus here. So anyway, so because stresses in all directions will be same as magnitude sigma, so simply writing x, y and z, sigma x, sigma y, sigma z, we are writing sigma only. And if you see, because all these sides are subjected to same amount of stress, the strains also same in all the directions. So this Ex is equals to Ey and Ez. Simply you can write it as E, like you have written as sigma. And so if you simplify this, if you take sigma by E as common, so you get 1 minus minus mu minus mu minus 2 mu here. So it is a strain in any direction. But here if you write volumetric strain for this body, 3-dimensional body as cube, you write it is change in volume by original volume we know, and it is strain in x direction plus strain in y direction and strain in z direction, Ex, Ey, Ez. So that is 3 times in the Ex, Ey, Ez, you can write E plus E plus E, that is 3 times of E. So strain in volume is nothing but 3 times of linear strain. For this case you can write, and if you write dV, that is change in volume, that is we require here. So dV is equals to 3 times of E into V. So 3 times of E value we have just simplified here, sigma by E into 1 minus 2 mu into volume of the block. Just you can write here 200 into 100 into 50, so that will give the volume of the block. So we have written here the same thing. So when you just write those values, 3 into sigma is 15 megapascal. If you see, it is given in the question, hydrostatic pressure of 15 megapascal is given. So we have written here in the place of sigma 15 megapascal or Newton per mm square, and mu value is given 0.3, and E value is given 200 gigapascal is given, but you have to substitute in megapascal. Why? Because megapascal or Newton per mm square both are same. So this is also megapascal, so this should be also megapascal. So for 200 into gigapascal to megapascal is into 10 to the power of 3. So 200 to 10 to the power of 3. So this is megapascal, this is megapascal or Newton per mm square, and these will be, are given in mm. So here mm. So that will be balanced. The units are balanced. So when you simplify that, we are getting change in volume as 90 mm cube, and that you can take it as compressive or minus. So here the signs are not given in the answer, so we will take just magnitude. So the change in volume is 90 mm cube. And if you see the next question, the figure below shows a steel rod of 25 mm square cross sectional area. It is loaded at 4 points K, L, M and N. Assume E, that is Young's modulus for steel, as a 200 gigapascal. The total change in the length of the rod due to loading is. So here is a rod is given, and uniform rod you can understand from the figure, but here three different segments are given by giving some points. So that is KL, MN. So the loads are acting like this. At K it is 100 newtons is towards left, and at L it is a junction, common junction, it is towards right to 50 newtons, and at M 200 newtons towards left, and at 50 at N towards right 50 newtons given, and 500 mm length is given, 400 mm length for Mn is 400 mm. The total length of the bar is given 1700 mm. It is asking to find out total change in the length of the rod. So because of these loadings, what is the total change? Total change in the length of the rod we have to calculate. And here the options is given are 1 micrometer, and B is 10 minus 10 micrometer or minus 10 microns, and C is 16 microns, and D is minus 20 microns or micrometers. And here the option, the correct option will be B, that is minus 10 micrometers or minus 10 microns. And see here how to solve this kind of question. So if this kind of question is given, just you have to take the separate segments. You have to divide the segments individual, or you have to take some individual segments, that is suppose KL, LM and MN individually, and you have to give the loads individual. So how to give the loads individually? So we'll follow our own technique or method. See here, first of all, when you are dividing into individual segments, just take the load which is at a free section. Means free section means here if you see, L is a common section for KL and LM, and also M is a common for LM and MN. So here the free section is K. So at the free section we have 100 newtons. So on the other hand, you will get 100 newtons. So if it is towards the left, it is towards the right. So free body diagram. So like that, that is our technique to be followed for locating the loads on the free segments. So first is 100 newtons. So it is free body diagram. It is balanced here. And for the second portion, that is LM segment or section. So here when L is as a common section here, 250 newtons is acting towards right, and here already 100 newtons gone towards right. So when you join once again these two portions, you should get 250 newtons towards right. So already 100 is gone, so remaining is 150 newtons to be towards right should be there on this L section. So the free load on this L section on LM segment will be 150 newtons. So it is 150 towards right, means it is 150. This side it is 150 towards left for this free segment LM. And if you see the length, this is 500, it is 400, and the remaining will be 800, because it is a total 700 given. So 500, 400, 900, and remaining, if you add 800, you will get 1700. So this LM length will be 800 mm. And next, if you see segment MN, so once again here the N section N is a free section, it's a not common section. So at free section you have 50 newtons, and if it towards right means, and at this you will get obviously 50 newton towards left for the free body diagram for this section MN. So after giving the loads like this, individual loads to this individual segments, so find out change in length in each segment and add all those things to get the total change in length. So delta L for KL plus delta L for LM, delta L for MN, and you are adding to get the total change in the length of the total this bar. So delta L you can write from the simple formula for a body acted upon by load P, area A, length L, and modulus of velocity T. So delta L is PL by AE. Using this simple formula, delta L is equals to PL by AE. We are writing for individual things. So delta L for KL, if you write load for KL, so load for KL is 100 kilonewtons, and this is a tensile nature by the diagram you can say. So 100 into length is 500 by area of cross section is 25 mm square. So throughout the rod is 25. So for any segment, the area of cross section is 25 mm square. So A in the place of A you can write 25 into, and A value Young's modulus is given 200 gigapascal, but you have to substitute in megapascal, or it is Newton per mm square. So to satisfy the units here, substitute this E value in megapascal. So 200 gigapascal is given, 200 gigapascal to megapascal if you want to write, it is into 10 to the power of 3. So 200 into 10 to the power of 3 megapascal. And if you require just clarification, please refer my previous video for this unit conversions. And next is the delta L for section LM. And here if you see from this diagram, 150 newtons is a compressive load. So you are taking minus here for this load for section LM. So minus 150 into length is 800, area is 25, and E value 200 into the power of 3 megapascal. And for this section MN, the load value is 50 newtons. Once again it is tensile, so we are taking plus, and L value 400 mm by A25 area. It is 200 to the power of 3 is the E value. So when you just simplify here, we are getting total delta L change in length of total bar as a minus 0.01 mm. So here the minus sign indicates there is a reduction in the length of the member. So it is mm we got, but is asking the answer are all the options are there in micrometers or microns. So to convert the mm into microns or micrometers, so we know 1 mm is equals to 1000 microns. So here 0.01 mm. So to convert into microns, just multiply with 1000. So because 1 mm is 1000 micrometers or microns. So when you multiply with 1000, we are getting the answer as minus 10 microns or minus 10 micrometers. So option B is the right option for this question. And next, if you see next question, a steel bar of 40 mm by 40 mm square cross section is subjected to an axial compressive load of 200 kilonewtons. If the length of the bar is 2 meters and A is 200 gigapascal, the change in the length of the bar will be A 1.25 mm, B 2.70 mm, C 4.05 mm, D 5.40 mm. And here the answer will be option A 1.25 mm. So it is a simple direct question. Bar of cross section given and subjected to load, compressive load. Load is given, and Young's modulus values given. Is asking change in length of the bar. So simply you can use delta L formula, that is equals to PL by AE. So P is given kilonewtons, 200 kilonewtons. So just substitute in newtons, and L substitute in mm. In general, we'll take mm. So 2 meters substitute in uh, mm is 2000, or 2 into 10 to the power of 3 meters, and area anyway it is given 40 mm by 40 mm, so just writing directly and mm only, and 200 gigapascal. I told substitute in megapascal, so 200 into 10 to the power of 3 megapascal. So when you substitute and simplify, we are getting delta L, change in length of the rod or bar, is 1.25 mm. So here option A is the right option. And if you see the next question, a bar having a cross-sectional area 700 mm square is subjected to axial loads at positions indicated below. The value of stress in the segment BC. So this we have seen the same kind of question, but it is here is asking stress in the segment BC. So anyway, we are discussing previous year gate questions. You may get same models but different way questions. Anyway, here I have to find out stress in segment BC, and here the options given are 40 megapascal, 50 megapascal, 70 megapascal, 120 megapascal, and here the correct option is option A, 40 megapascal. So as I told the previous question, first of all you have to write individual segments, and you have to indicate the loads for individual segments or sections. So for segment AB, the individual load will be 63 kilonewtons. Here means, so here you will get 63, and to get load at section B for segment BC, so if it is 63, to get 35, there should be 28 kilonewtons towards left. Suppose if you take this is towards right, so there should be 28 kilonewtons towards left should be there, so, such that when you join once again these two, so at common section B should get 35 kilonewtons towards right. So to satisfy this, the load here for the segment BC should be 28 kilonewtons towards left for at this place. So if it is 28 kilonewtons at this place towards left, so this at this place it is 28 kilonewtons towards right. So this is our method or our simple technique like that we are following. And the next, if you see segment CD, so directly you can write 21 kilonewtons here means it is 25 kilonewtons. So these are individual free body diagrams for different individual segments A, B, B, C and CD. So anyway, here we require stress in segment BC. So the load, you can write stress from the simple definition, stress is load by area, but we require stress in BC. So stress in BC, if you write load in BC by area, so area will be same throughout the member. Only one area is given, means 700 mm square. So for BC also it is 700 mm square. So load for BC is 28 kilonewtons, or 28 into 10 to the power of 3 newtons, and 700 mm square. And if you simplify that, we will get 40 Newton per mm square, or 40 megapascals. So the option will be A, 40 megapascals is the right option for this question. And if you see the next question here, a solid steel cube constrained on all 6 faces is heated so that the temperature rises uniformly by delta T. If the thermal coefficient of material is alpha, Young's modulus is E, and the Poisson's ratio is nu, the thermal stress developed in the cube due to heating is. And here different options are given, A, B, C, D, like this. Let us write the expression in terms of alpha, delta T and E with the given information. And here the correct option is option A, that is minus alpha into delta T into E by 1 minus 2 nu, where nu is Poisson's ratio. So here cube is solid steel cube is given, and it is constrained at all 6 faces, and there is a rise of temperature of delta T. So when a body is constrained and there is a rise in temperature, so obviously we know there will be thermal stress developed in the member or body. So if the body is free to expand in all directions, then there will be no thermal stress. But here all 6 faces are constrained, so there will be thermal stresses in the body, and because it is a all faces are constrained and temperature is raised. So the suppose it is constrained with some wall, suppose if you assume like that, the walls will and when it is heated, so this will try to expand. So but the walls will restrict, so the walls will apply compressive load or stress on this all faces of the block. So there is a compressive load or compressive stress acting on all stress all faces of the block, and that will be same in x, y and z direction. Magnitude will be same. So let sigma is the stress due to the increase in temperature, that is a thermal temperature stress. So by taking that temperature stress consideration, let us write strain in x direction due to this increase in temperature. So Ex you can write alpha into delta T. So for clarification of this, how to write this strain formula by taking thermal stress into consideration, or thermal stress formula, just refer my previous video. So anyway, a strain in x direction because of this thermal stress is, you can write alpha into delta T, where alpha is the coefficient of linear expansion or thermal expansion, delta T is a difference in temperature or rise of temperature. So let us take this as equation number 1, and if you observe this and if you consider or if you observe this, this is a case of body subjected to volumetric stress or volumetric strain case. So and in that case there is same kind of or same magnitude of stress acting in all three directions. So in that case, if you see strain in x direction due to this volumetric stress sigma, you can write it as Ex is because it is a compressive, we are writing minus here, so minus sigma by E, and if you see there is a strain in x direction because of stress in x direction, so that you can write sigma by E, that is and there is also effect in strain in x direction because of the stress or load in y and z directions, so that you can write so the strain will be negative, or the effect of strain will be negative effect, such that you can write minus here, and the amount of strain will be Poisson's ratio times of the strain in that particular y and z direction. So this anyway I have explained in the previous question, and just you can simply write here minus nu into Poisson's ratio, that is sigma y is sigma only, sigma z is sigma only. So and because it is compressive, we are writing minus here. So this strain, and this is for z direction, and let us take this is the total as equation number 2. So this I have explained like this. If you take positive stress sigma, in general we can write like this, but here it is a compressive stress, so we are writing minus here. So anyway, from equation 1 and 2, so both are representing the strain in x direction only. So when you equate 1 and 2, so you can write alpha into delta T is equals to this one, minus sigma E. This is minus of minus plus, minus of minus plus, and if you take out sigma by E, that is minus sigma by E common, you get here 1, and here minus, you will get once again. Why? Because if you just simplify here, it is a plus 2 times of nu into sigma by E, and sigma by E is common, means minus sigma by E is common, means here you will get plus 1, and here minus you will get, because minus of minus plus you will get once again. So anyway, here if you are taking out minus sigma by E common, it is 1 here, and it is 2 times of nu, and it is minus here, not plus, it is minus. So when you just rearrange the terms here, you can write sigma is equals to alpha into delta T into E, and just if you are writing this minus this side, and in the denominator you will get 1 by 2 nu. So the matching option is here, the option A is the right option here for this question. And if you see the next question, a 200 mm long rod is held between two immovable rigid walls. The temperature of the rod is uniformly raised by 250 degrees centigrade. If the Young's modulus and coefficient of thermal expansion are 200 gigapascal and 1 into 10 to the power of minus 5 per degree centigrade respectively, the magnitude of the longitudinal stress in megapascals developed in the rod is. So if you, by reading the question, just you can simply understand that it's a direct question from the topic thermal or temperature stresses, and here the answer is 500 megapascals. So we know temperature stress is given by the equation alpha into delta T into E. Now alpha is given here 1 into 10 to the power of minus 5. Delta T is 250 degrees centigrade. Rise in temperature is delta T 250 degrees centigrade, and E value is given 200 gigapascals. Substitute in megapascals. So that is 200 into the power of 3 megapascals. So if you simplify that, we are getting the answer is 500 megapascals here. And if you see the next question here, an elastic body is subjected to a tensile stress X in a particular direction and compressive stress Y in its perpendicular direction, means perpendicular to the initial or X direction. So X and Y are equal in magnitude, means the stresses acting in X and Y directions are equal in magnitude, but opposite in nature, because one is tensile stress and another is compressive stress. On the plane of maximum shear stress in the body, there will be, option A is no normal stress, option B is also maximum and normal stress, option C is a minimum normal stress, and option D will be both normal stress and shear stress. And here for this given question, the correct option is option A, there is no normal stress. So if you see when you take so the just you can indicate the question like this: body or element acted upon by stresses in two directions X and Y, and sigma X is, you can take it as sigma, and sigma Y is minus sigma. Why? Because sigma one is tensile is given, another is compressive, but magnitude is same, means sigma and sigma, and sigma X is positive sigma, sigma Y is minus sigma. And this is a case when the body or element is subjected to stress in two mutual perpendicular directions only, like normal stresses without any shear stress. So in that case, you can write normal stress on any oblique plane as a sigma X plus sigma Y by 2 plus sigma X minus sigma Y by 2 cos 2 theta. And here in this case means when the body is subjected or element is subjected to normal stresses in two directions, only two normal stresses. So in that case the maximum shear stress will happen on the planes when the theta will become 45 and 135 degrees. So but when theta is 45 and 135 degrees, cos 2 theta will be 0. Why? Because when theta is 45, cos 2 theta means cos 2 into 45 cos 90. So we know cos 90 is 0, and also cos 270 also 0. So this term will be 0. So when you write that, so this, if this is 0, this total term will be 0, and the remaining thing for normal stress will be sigma X plus sigma Y by 2 only. And here why we are writing we are taking this data values means he told is given on the plane of maximum shear stress. So plane of maximum shear stress means that will be happen at this 45 and 135 degrees. So on that plane of maximum shear stress in this for this given question, so the normal stress is 0. Why? Because when you substitute here sigma X is sigma, and in the place of sigma Y minus sigma, so it is plus into minus minus, so this will be 0. So the finally the normal stress on the maximum shear stress plane, maximum shear stress plane in this given case will be 0. So there is no normal stress in the plane of maximum shear stress for this given question. So friends, for more videos please subscribe and activate bell symbol, and also please share my videos with your friends. Thanks for watching.